So today I am sitting by all the packing boxes and suitcases. I actually put all my winter clothes in suitcases because I just found it easier. But I figured if you can't beat them, join them. The apartment is full of boxes anyway, so I might as well just embrace it at this point. And this video is about home buying, so I guess it's topical. So as I mentioned in my last video, John and I did buy our first home, which is absolutely insane to even think about because this is something that we've dreamed about for years and years and years, and it's finally here, and it doesn't feel real yet. I'm gonna record the whole process for you guys, the decorating, the painting, everything, because I'm pretty excited about it and I want to share it with you guys. And the first thing I want to share with you guys is actually how we saved to buy our first home, because this is quite possibly, or it is the biggest investment people make in home buying. Is the biggest investment that you'll ever make in your life, and you want to take all the right steps so that you go into your house not house poor, not house broke, and you can actually enjoy the process of moving in. So it took us a couple of years to actually get to a place where we were comfortable enough to buy a house, and I want to use all the tips, or I want to tell you guys all the tips and tricks that we used in order to be able to feel comfortable making this huge financial decision. So for the past 5 years for John, 3 years for me, we've lived in this apartment, and I absolutely love this apartment. I'm actually sad to go because we have a lot of memories here, but at the same time, it's just the natural progression of life, and it's just what we need to do. But the first thing that people say when they find out you're renting is that your money is being wasted on rent, and that's not necessarily true. I feel like if you're not in the right financial position, renting is absolutely an amazing option. But you got to keep in mind that with rent, not only are some of your bills sometimes paid within your rent, but if anything goes wrong within your living quarters, your landlord is in charge of fixing that. So you're saving so much money in the long run. We have had issues with this apartment with flooding. So we have a massive tree in the front yard, and the roots are always growing into the pipes, and then it floods through the bathroom, and it's the most disgusting thing ever. And that was one of the reasons that we kind of pulled the trigger on moving from here, because it was just, we had to deal with it every single year, and it was just me being a germaphobe. Just didn't work out for me. But we never had to pay a dime towards getting it fixed. The landlord would constantly pay it every time that it flooded. He would pay for the E-Link service and everything. So that if we were to buy a house, that's hundreds and hundreds of dollars, not only going in towards the E-Link service, but fixing that pipe or plumbing issue. So sometimes renting does make sense. If you're not in a position financially to be able to put money into things that are going to go wrong, because things are going to go wrong, then renting is the right option for you. So within those few years that we've been living here, we knew our ultimate goal was to buy a house. So we made conscious financial decisions along the way to help us prepare to buy that house. And one of those things was being debt-free. And although we're not completely debt-free, we did manage to pay off a majority of our debt, and it was hard. We managed to just live off John's income, and everything that came in from my income, like 90% of it, just went to my student loans. So I was able to pay those off really quickly. And if you have the ability to do that with two incomes, then absolutely try to knock out as much debt as possible, because that makes a huge difference, not only in your financial stability, but also in your credit score. And your credit score is another thing that we really were conscious about. So John and I, we use our credit card for everything. Buying a cup of coffee, use our credit card. Buying a lipstick, use our credit card. I barely use a debit card, and that is a conscious decision, because at the end of the month, we will pay off all those expenses. Not only does that allow us to see what we're spending our money on and how much money we spent and where we could possibly cut out some spending and all that stuff, but also it helped build up that credit score. So the better credit score you have, then you're more likely to be approved for a mortgage. Dave Ramsey, who's like an amazing financial advisor, we binged all his videos, and I know that he advises against using a credit card for every purchase. He strongly recommends using your debit card for everything, but I think because we are a younger couple and we are trying to build that life together, building that credit score together was kind of crucial for us. So that just kind of made sense for our lifestyle and where we're at right now. Along with being conscious of our spending and also paying off that extra debt that was just kind of looming over us, we still had to put money aside, because when you're buying a house, you got to put that down payment down. You have to have a little bit of extra cushion too, just in case anything goes wrong or you want to get the house inspected. There's so many different things and different reasons why you should have a little extra cushion. So around the time that I was paying off my student loans and we were putting all that money in towards the student loans, I was putting 10% of anything that came into our bank account into a savings account that we were not allowed to touch. So 10% is a small enough amount that you won't see a huge difference, but it does accumulate very quickly. After I finished paying off my student loans, we actually upped it to 20%. So 20% of everything that came in went into a savings account that we did not touch. Now, that might not make sense for you. If you're in a position financially where you can't put 10 or 20% into a savings account, do whatever you can. 5%, 2%, even if it's like $5 a week, put that into a savings account that you do not touch. You will actually be surprised at how quickly that'll accumulate. And then whenever you have a little bit extra that you feel like you can put in there, just put that in there too, and then you'll feel so much better seeing that number grow, grow, grow. And it's such a small amount weekly or bi-weekly or monthly that you won't actually feel that much of a difference within your lifestyle. I mean, maybe pack a lunch for work instead of buying lunch, or don't buy a coffee and put that money that you would put towards a coffee or your lunch or a treat that you want to treat yourself with, put that money towards that savings account instead of splurging it, and there you go. Then you have your little investment that is just going to grow, 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 and it's going to help you with your next financial move. There's a lot about the home buying process that we didn't necessarily know going into this. A lot of hidden terms, a lot of things that we heard floating around, but we had no idea what it meant. So a lot of the things I'm going to talk about are Canadian because we live in Canada, but I feel like some of it might apply to anybody. So we have CMHC fees here in Canada, and that's basically an insurance for the bank. So I don't know if it's just Ontario or Canada-wide, but first-time home buyers get a break of only having to pay 5% of their down payment. So that's good, and it has its pros and it has its cons. So if you're paying 5% of your down payment, the first 5 years of purchasing your home is when you're going to be paying the most interest in your home. The more money that you put in to your home initially, then you're gonna be paying off more of your house within those 5 years, which is always a great thing. But if you can't afford that, that's totally fine because you have that 5% break. Another tip that I have is to shop around for a bank with a low interest rate. So we do all of our banking with one bank. That's the bank that John has been with since he was a kid. I switched over from another bank, but anyways, when we went there, we didn't like what they had to offer, and our realtor knew somebody that was at another bank, and she referred us to him, and he was able to give us a really, really good interest rate. So do not stick to just what your bank says. Shop around. I mean, again, this is the biggest financial decision you're ever gonna make, so you might as well find the best interest rate for you. And I would definitely recommend going to a bank where you feel comfortable and the person doesn't make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. One of our first experiences with home buying, the person in the bank actually kind of made us feel shamed because we didn't have enough saved up, or we didn't have as much saved up. We were just going in for an initial consultation. Like, what do we need to do? We don't know anything about home buying. Just kind of give us the rundown of what we need to do. And she just made us feel awful about everything. And we were really discouraged after that until we kind of shopped around more, talked to more people, and spend some time saving some money. So maybe that was a bit of a wake-up call to us, but find somebody that does not make you feel bad about where you're at, and somebody that makes you feel like you are secure in this process that is so huge and so massive in your life. Now, say you've reached the process of you've been pre-approved for a mortgage and now you're looking for homes. You have to consider financially that you have to save money for inspectors, to come in and see if the house is in good condition, because if the house is not in good condition, you could be putting more money into fixing it up. You have to consider closing costs. You have to consider moving costs. There's a lot of expenses that go into buying a house other than actually buying the house. And I don't mean to scare anybody at all. I mean, if you want to just do all the moving yourself, you don't require a U-Haul, you don't require all that stuff. That's going to save you a ton of money too. But you have to consider you're going to have like a little bit of cushion when you are purchasing that home, because there's so much that goes into it other than just the home. And if you can help it, do not use the max amount that you've been pre-approved for. If you get it pre-approved for like a crazy amount, it might be cool to see that number at first. My foot's asleep from sitting on the floor. If you see that amount and you're like, oh my God, that's such a big amount, I can afford this amazing house now. If you can help it, try to get something a little more modest, especially if it's your first home. The rule of thumb is to get the smallest house on the nicest street. And that way your resale value just goes up. You can fix it up, you can make it look nice, and the neighborhood speaks for itself. So if you have neighbors that are taking care of their yards and the neighborhood is just really nice and you just get the tiniest, like crappiest house on there, the resale value is gonna skyrocket if you are willing to put that work into it. So that would be my recommendation for buying your first home. I mean, don't overshoot. Get something that if life is gonna happen, if you were to lose your job or something were to happen, God forbid, that you would still be able to afford to make your mortgage payments and live in that house until you're able to get on your feet again financially. So that is a huge thing that a lot of people, I think, don't realize when they are going to buy a house and they see that big number that they've been pre-approved for. Yeah, you've been pre-approved for it, but can you afford it? And that's really something that you have to take into account and look at seriously. Maybe budget, see what you're spending your money on, see where you can save money. And every single house that we offered on, before we offered on it, we would go into realtor.ca and we would do their budget calculator and we would see if we can afford it, what our monthly payment would be. And generally your monthly payment, including bills and all of the major expenses for living, should be about 25% of your income. So if it's over that 25%, really ask yourself if that makes sense in your life and if you're willing to spend that much. And last but not least, the most important part of the home buying process is just to enjoy every second of it. Make the best of it. It's going to be stressful. If you're buying a house with a partner, it might really test your relationship. We have gotten to like so many arguments, not even about the houses. We generally agreed on the houses, but it's just such a stressful time and tensions are high and it really tests your relationship. So try to just get through it and not get too overwhelmed by it. And you know what? The house that you buy might not be the house that you initially thought you would get. I mean, when we got the house, I got a bad case of buyer's remorse because it wasn't necessarily the neighborhood that I was comfortable with. It wasn't necessarily, it's just very far from everything that I know. So moving into this house, it's gonna be like this, it's gonna be weird because everything that I know, everything I'm comfortable with, everything, basically we're moving from a very fun, vibrant area to a very suburban area. And I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna be there. So I'm kind of trying to get through those emotions, trying to practice what I preach of just making the best of it. And yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know down below in the comments. Leave me a thumbs up while you're down there, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I upload every single week, and starting August, I don't know if I'll be uploading a lot in August because that's going to be our moving month. So we're going to be really busy with like painting and moving and everything, but I'm going to try to record as much as possible and get that out there for you. So I don't know, the month of August might be a little hit and miss for me. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, I'll see you later.